We can almost feel the chill in the air as we picture Sidwell sitting alone in his lavish, dimly lit study, the crackle of a dying fireplace doing nothing to warm the icy rage consuming his soul. Guys, the atmosphere is absolutely suffocating as he stares down at a single piece of paper that holds the power to unleash hell on Earth. It is the official autopsy report of his late son, Marco, and let me tell you, this is not just a standard medical document. It seems that this report contains a series of highly specific forensic details that are about to blow this entire storyline wide open. As Sidwell's cold, calculating eyes scan the clinical descriptions of the lacerations, we can easily see that his mind is piecing together a puzzle that he was never meant to solve. If you ask me, the sheer brutality of the attack on Marco was always meant to send a message, but the killer made one critical, fatal mistake that is about to bring Sidwell's entire wrath crashing down upon them. Our minds are completely blown by how the forensic details are described in this report, and it is highly likely that the autopsy describes the exact type of blade, the precise angle of the wounds, and the terrifying forensic markers left behind on Marco's body. We know that Marco was ruthlessly killed by Cullum after a chaotic sequence of events involving the theft of 2 experimental vials meant for Brit. This means that the stakes were already incredibly high, but nobody expected the murder weapon itself to become the ultimate smoking gun. If you ask me, Cullum thought he was being clever, hiding in the shadows of the Port Charles Underground and executing his dirty work without leaving a trace. But the truth could be much more complicated than a simple mob hit, because the forensic report points to a weapon of such unique craftsmanship that it is practically a calling card. We are talking about a blade so rare, so incredibly distinct, that only a handful of people in the entire world have ever laid eyes on it, let alone possessed it. Now, let us talk about the weapon, because this is where the GH spoilers get absolutely deliciously unhinged. The autopsy report describes a blade with specific historical engravings and a custom-weighted hilt, which can only point to one legendary blood-soaked artifact. Yes, guys, we are talking about the late, infamous Helena Cassadine's personal knife. This is a weapon steeped in decades of Cassadine cruelty, a relic of a dark dynasty that has haunted Port Charles for generations. And here is the kicker that is going to make your jaw drop. Sidwell himself was once in possession of this very knife, and he actually flaunted it in front of Alexis in the past. If you ask me, this is a masterclass in soap opera, irony, and dramatic writing. Sidwell used that blade to terrorize and assert his dominance, never in a million years expecting that his own prized, stolen Cassadine relic would be the very instrument used to butcher his beloved son, Marco. I think we can all agree that Cullum has officially signed his own death warrant, even if he does not know it yet. It seems that Cullum, in his desperate bid to secure those experimental vials and protect his own skin, grabbed the most convenient and lethal weapon he could find in Sidwell's inner sanctum, totally ignorant of its immense sentimental and historical value. This means that when Cullum plunged that blade into Marco, he was not just committing a murder, he was leaving a giant, neon flashing signature that points directly back to his own betrayal. If you ask me, the sheer stupidity of this move is almost tragic, but that is exactly why we love daytime drama, isn't it? We can clearly see the gears turning in Sidwell's mind as he realizes that the killer had access to his private collection, meaning the traitor was someone within his tightest circle of trust. If you ask me, the realization is going to hit Sidwell like a freight train, and the fallout is going to be absolutely spectacular. He is going to realize that Cullum, his seemingly loyal shadow, is the one who took his son's life and stole those precious experimental vials. This means that the search for Marco's killer is officially over in Sidwell's mind, and the hunt for bloody, merciless retribution has begun. We are not talking about a quick, clean bullet to the head, guys. Sidwell is a man who thrives on psychological torture and prolonged suffering, and he is going to want Cullum to feel every single ounce of the pain that Marco felt in his final moments. The sheer dread of what is coming for Cullum is enough to keep us glued to our screens for the next several weeks, and I, for one, cannot wait to see how this manhunt plays out. But let us not forget about the collateral damage. because in Port Charles, no war is ever fought in isolation. How does Alexis fit into this brewing storm? We know she has a history with Sidwell, and she is fully aware of the existence of that terrifying Cassadine knife. If you ask me, Alexis is going to find herself dragged right into the center of this bloodbath, perhaps as a reluctant confidant or a target of Sidwell's paranoia. If Sidwell begins to suspect that others knew about the knife or helped cover up the crime, he might just decide to wipe out anyone who has ever crossed paths with that weapon. This means that Alexis's current legal and personal struggles are about to get a million times worse, and she might have to use every ounce of her legal brilliance and survival instincts just to keep herself and her daughters alive. And what about the mysterious experimental vials that Cullum stole? We know they were originally intended for Britt, fueling the massive, ongoing rumors that Britt might actually be alive and hiding somewhere, deeply involved in the secret fusion project. If you ask me, these vials are the key to a much larger medical conspiracy that could involve several major players at General Hospital. If Cullum was willing to murder Marco and steal from Sidwell just to get his hands on these drugs, the power they hold must be absolutely immense. The truth could be much more complicated than we realize, and we might be looking at a storyline where medical science, mob warfare, and ancient family vendettas collide in a massive explosion of drama. I think we can all see that Sidwell is currently preparing for a massive, unprecedented purge in the coming days. He is not going to the police, and he is certainly not going to play by any rules. This means that Cullum is living on borrowed time, and every shadow he passes in the night could be the one that finally reaches out to drag him to his doom. If you ask me, Cullum's desperation is going to drive him to make even more reckless moves, possibly targeting Alexis or trying to sell the vials to the highest bidder before Sidwell can catch up to him. We are looking at a classic cat and mouse game, but the cat is a grieving, psychopathic mob boss with a legendary Cassadine weapon, and the mouse is a cornered rat with nowhere left to run. We keep seeing these wild theories online about how this storyline will wrap up, and let me tell you, the speculation is reaching a fever pitch. Some fans are absolutely convinced that Cullum will meet his maker in the most graphic way possible, falling victim to the very knife he used to kill Marco. Others are hoping for a last-minute twist where Alexis manages to intervene, using her knowledge of the Cassadine family's secrets to neutralize Sidwell before he can paint the town red. If you ask me, the writers have set up a perfect storm of suspense, and the uncertainty is what makes this era of General Hospital so incredibly thrilling. Will Cullum survive long enough to expose the truth about Britt and the fusion project, or will Sidwell's wrath consume him and everyone else in his orbit? The only thing that is absolutely certain is that Port Charles is about to become a very dangerous place, and we are going to be right here, holding our breath through every single shocking episode.
Goodbye. Please like, subscribe, and comment on the GH Spoilers Daily channel.